go. Okay, just in a nutshell, a bit of an overview. If you cannot see the slides, please let me know. And if you have any questions, there will be time for questions. At the end of the session, you're more than welcome to then speak out or type your questions in the chat. Please bear with us if we do not get to all of them as they are live. Cool. So Connections in Mind is an organization that was founded in 2016 with the vision of supporting communities that includes schools, organizations, workplaces, and individuals to develop strong executive function skills through various arms of training, coaching, and research. The organization consists of two divisions. Firstly, there's the Connected Club. That is our community interest division that offers coach training, as well as school and organization training, and live events such as masterclasses, webinars, and live casts, all themed events under the umbrella term of executive functions. And then the other division, which is our main focus for today's webinar, is the Executive Function Coaching Unit, or EFC UK. This division offers customized coaching programs, which we'll get to in a bit, explaining all the different programs that we offer. These are offered by experienced and well-trained freelance coaches. And we also have a dedicated team of client relationship managers that really manages that relationship between coaches and clients from the sign-up, a moment of sign-up, all the way through your coaching journey. The first question that might come to mind is, what are executive functions? Now, according to psychologists such as Peg Dawson, who wrote the book Smart But Scattered and also endorses our training here at CIM, psychologists have identified 11 main executive functions. And I don't want to get too sciencey, but these executive functions are processes that reside in the prefrontal cortex of our brains. And there are processes that really help us to plan and organize our behavior, our responses, and our emotions. And in the adult life, one would say that these skills, if mastered, leads to a lot of success and us flourishing. But unfortunately, we live in a society where we sometimes feel punished by others, or even more so by ourselves, for not mastering these skills. Instead of reciting all 11 of these EFs, I'm just going to focus on 2 or 3 that might be already familiar to you. So the first one being task initiation. That would be the ability for you to start a task that you have set out for yourself. We can also chat a bit about emotional regulation or emotional control. That would be the ability to manage your emotions so that those emotions can direct your behavior. And a third example is time management. It's that ability to accurately estimate and manage your time. Now, while this might be familiar to us, we can also ask, how do these EF skills manifest as challenges in our daily lives? So focusing on the 3 examples that we've already covered, we can first look at a time management example. So if you struggle to accurately determine how long a task will take you, sometimes referred to as a time blindness to a certain extent, it might create a bit of a challenge. You planning on making lasagna for the first time, and I've invited a couple of friends over, thought that it would take you 30 minutes. It ends up taking 2 hours, which there goes the whole evening's plans. And instead of chatting and having a lovely time with your friends, you end up spending most time in the kitchen. How would emotional control manifest as a challenge? So your line manager approaches you at work, you've missed a deadline 3 times in a row, and instead of asking them to perhaps sit down and chat about the reasons why this could have happened, you feel completely overwhelmed and dysregulated. You feel stressed and you actually feel like this might be the end of the road and I'm going to get fired. And then lastly, task initiation. We all are familiar with setting New Year resolutions, and you've set one for yourself to go to the gym on a weekly basis. it's now mid-May, you haven't been there once, and your gym membership fee, the monthly debit order is glaring at you every month, but you just haven't found it in you to just go to the gym because it's this mammoth task that you just can't break down for yourself and just get there. And this brings us to bridging that gap for an EF challenge to become an EF skill, and where EF coaching then comes in. Because it's important to remember that of these 11 main EF skills, not all of them are challenges. And we really need to focus on the ones that we already manage and have converted into skills for ourselves, and transfer that into those that might present themselves as challenges. And to bridge that gap is where coaching comes in. So executive function coaching is different to career coaching or life coaching, because here we focus specifically on giving support and help develop strategies and habits to actually manage your life, your emotions, and even sometimes physical things like belongings in a better way to help us flourish. It's also a process where the coach and the coachee walk alongside each other to set certain goals and objectives. It's a very self-directed approach. And it creates that accountability buddy. So at the end of the day, not in a punitive way, but that ability for you to actually check in with yourself and have I met this? Where am I standing with myself with this particular challenge? And in many contexts of your life, whether it is in business, in academics, personal relationships, or just your own well-being, it really helps you to flourish and form that resilience. A question that often comes to mind is, what is the difference between tutoring, EF coaching, and therapy? This is also a question we often get from clients. Tutoring, in a nutshell, would address any specific academic needs. So whether it is study skills, revision, or preparation for a test or an exam, so that it has that academic lens to it. Therapy, on the other hand, is more in the line of treatment for mental health conditions with specific deep-rooted causes. And then lastly, EF coaching is, like we've discussed, bridging that gap between having identified what are my processes, my cognitive processes that are posing challenges with prioritizing, with time management, or any other skills that help plan and organize my life on a daily basis. And with that, I will hand over to Lerato to talk us through the different programs that we offer at Connections in Mind, as well as how does this coaching process with us work.
Thank you so much, Yandre. I am Lerato, the lead relationship manager at Connections in Mind. And I'll generally just take you through our various coaching programs and what they look like. And yeah, and this will help you just inform which breakout room you'll go into towards the end of our session. Okay. So we'll start off with just some of our child and adolescent coaching programs. We've got our Executive Function Adventures program. This is geared towards your younger kids who are around 7 to 11 years old. So this is a very foundational, play-based, adventure-themed program just to help our young kids improve the executive function literacy and start looking at strategies that they can use within the home or at school to help improve the executive functions. Okay, our next program is our metacognition building program. So that one is more for our kids who are a little bit resistant or hesitant or on the fence about, coaching and are struggling to have that self-awareness of understanding how their challenges are having an impact on themselves, their relationships and those around them. Okay, so it's really around building up that metacognition and that self-awareness around their challenges and starting to think of things that they could do to help them, get better and build up these executive function skills. Okay, then our next program is our Coaching for Independent Learning program. So this is a more active, goal-oriented approach to coaching. This is for our kids who are at a place where they can recognize the impact that their challenges are having on their lives and actually want to build up those strategies and learn skills and build up these new habits to help them cope and manage better with their challenges. So it's really looking around building up these new habits and looking at changing their behaviors. And our next program is our bridging. So bridging is for children of all ages. And bridging is more of a gentle exploratory approach for our children who are not yet in that mental or emotional space, or, they're not feeling motivated or confident enough in themselves to put in an active effort towards creating goals or implementing strategies to make active changes in their behaviors. It will also be beneficial for children who are struggling with emotional regulation, just to help them learn those skills around regulating their emotions. And as you know, or might have noticed with our kids, when they're very emotional, when they're dysregulated, it actually makes it so much harder for them to access their other skills, like their planning, their organization, and prioritization. Okay. And then our last one is a bespoke coaching approach. So bespoke is more of integrating both that bridging assimilation work with a more active goal-oriented approach. So essentially taking both from the Coaching for Independent Learning program and the bridging program. Okay, so it's really around helping our students increase their self-awareness and working on areas of executive, areas where they need, support around the EF challenges, and help them integrate these strategies a bit more. So goals are just worked on at a lower intensity than it would have, or it would be with the Coaching for Independent Learning program. Okay. And we'll move on now to more adult programs. So this next one is our university students coaching. So as we know, transitioning from, secondary school to university can be quite a challenge for a lot of our children. So university coaching will come in and helping them build up those strategies around being more independent, because university does require a lot more independence. There isn't that teacher who is, asking you or reminding you to submit your work. A lot of the times our children are on their own, far from home, so we're not there as parents. So helping them build up these strategies and these habits to help them grow and thrive and reach their full potential as they enter the adult world, as we call it. Okay. And then our next coaching cohort would be our adult coaching. Pretty standard for our adults. A lot of us only realize when we're older that we've got these challenges and realize the impact that they have been having on our lives. So adult coaching is really around helping you being able to manage your emotions, building up those strategies around executive function challenges, even your workplace. Maybe you're struggling with planning, prioritization at work, struggling with our emotional regulation. Your coach would be able to help support you in building up these strategies to help you, cope and manage better with your challenges, especially with all these responsibilities that we start to take on as we grow, I guess. Yeah. Okay, and then Access to Work is a UK government grant through the DWP, where adults who are looking for work or are in work and the executive functions are getting in their way, they can actually apply for this grant and get an award where you can access coaching through that grant. So this is for adults who maybe just don't have the financial means to be able to self-fund for coaching. You can look at applying for Access to Work funding and be able to then access coaching through DWP. Okay. And our next one would be our parent support sessions. So these are for our parents who have children with executive function challenges, where you're looking for strategies, looking for someone to also support you around, managing the home, managing, your children's emotions, managing those complex relationships. And also it's just a place where you can talk to someone who knows and understands what it's like to have a child with executive function challenges, because at times we do need that space because it does get a bit much, and you just need that space for someone to help you understand your child's challenges, understand, how they're impacting them. I think a lot of times we always look at our children with executive functions as if they're lazy, but that's not the case. So it really helps you better understand their challenges and then just look at integrating strategies within the home environment to help support them and help them just build up their confidence around their challenges. Okay. Andre, can you move to the next one? Thank you. So what next? If you are interested in coaching and you'd like to have a chat further with either myself or Savannah, who's also one of our relationship managers, we've put in links. Thank you, Savannah, for joining. We'll put our links there. You also get them during the breakout rooms, where you can get to book in a free 30-minute insight call with either myself or Savannah, where we can get to understand your child's challenges a bit more or your own challenges and be able to recommend the best approach in supporting you. So be it the simple bridging or EFA program or adult coaching, etc. And during that call, then, if you are, looking at proceeding with coaching, then we'd look at starting the coach matching process, where we would send you a couple of coach profiles to look through. You get to meet those potential coaches, what we call a chemistry session, before you select the coach that you want to work with. Once you've selected your coach, then either myself or Savannah would just send you a bit more information on how to set up your account, and you are then ready to start your sessions and building up those strategies around just helping you reach your full potential. Okay. And the big question that everyone always asks, how much is it? So our pricing depends obviously on your individual needs. A lot of our coaching is very tailored and bespoke to your own unique challenges and your own unique needs. So essentially it roughly starts, especially for the children, it starts at the child coaching programs. They start at around £99 plus VAT per session, but these differ depending on, the coaching approach. Some of them are prepaid, like the EFA program, where you need to pay in advance in the meta, and some of them are on a pay-as-you-go basis. But we'll chat about this a lot more during the Insight call with your relationship manager. All right. Okay, we reached the end of our presentation. Before we move to our breakout rooms, do we have any questions?
Not sure if there are any questions perhaps in the chat.
Seeing any in the chat yet? Okay, awesome. And then I think there aren't any questions. Oh, how many sessions do people have on average? That's a question from Esther. So Esther, our coaching approach comes from a very neuroscientific and psychological framework, right? And according to neuroscience, I'm not sure if you've heard of the rule of 60, where you actually need to do something at least 60 times for it to form into a habit. And when you look at, and when you translate that into a coaching journey, you're generally looking at between 6 to 18 months of coaching. And obviously it is subjective. It's dependent on, your motivation for change, your commitment and engagement throughout the coaching process. Okay.
Then I've already
Yeah.
looked at some of the other two questions. First one there from Emma. Yes, so most of our EF coaches definitely have had their own challenges with executive functions themselves, and that makes them very relatable. And that is often the first place where beg that question, how can I support others with some of the challenges that I've experienced? And I guess the same goes for even the internal team. So definitely. And then there is that theoretical viewpoint as well, Emma. So there's training that we offer for people that want to become coaches, to add that EF lens if you might already be a coach within a different field. I hope that answers your question. And then Japana, I'm sorry if I'm not pronouncing your name correctly. To become an EF coach, do I need to be in the UK? No, you don't. We are a remote and online company. While most of our coaches and clients are based in the UK, that is definitely not a requirement because it's online virtual sessions. And yeah. Then there's another question. Was it from Esther Weekly for around 16 to 18 months? Is your question just referring to the time period in which you sort of before seeing any progress or results with a specific program? Okay, yeah. So, Lerato, I'm going to hand that one to you. I think you have more insight there.
Yeah. Esther, it is between 6 to 18 months. So when you start off, like with any new habits that we are learning, we usually recommend meeting up with your coach a lot more often. So that could look like meeting up with a coach once a week for an hour or 45 minutes to an hour. And as you progress through your coaching journey and you become more confident in being able to execute these strategies independently, that session structure will reduce over time until such a time where you feel that you are ready. You and your coach will evaluate this. Going into your question, Emma, you'll evaluate how you're feeling. You look at the goals that you've set. Have you achieved your goals? And that is how you'd measure progress as well. Okay. I hope I've answered you, Emma. Kind of integrated that with that other question. Okay. Can this be funded by Access to Work? Yes, for adult coaching, yes, you can get funding through Access to Work. Okay. Can these be shorter sessions? Is this for Access to Work or for general coaching, Ian? You're welcome, Ed. Okay, Ian, I'll just answer you. So when you say shorter sessions, EF coaching an hour may be too much. Okay. We usually recommend at least 45 minutes, especially if you're looking at really integrating these strategies in a way where you'll see the desired results. 30 minutes is really short because, in that session, you're looking at what are your challenges, and your coach is helping you develop and find those strategies and those tools that are linked to your own unique challenges and how you learn. So we usually recommend at least 45 minutes. But if it's 30 minutes due to financial constraints, you want a shorter session. What I would say, just to manage expectations, is that your results, you might see the results at a slower pace than if you have more contact with your coach. Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. If there aren't any further questions, then we can definitely proceed to the breakout rooms. So in the chat, you will find a link to the specific, let me just scroll to that slide, to the specific coaching programs where you'll join a coach for a session to talk more in detail about that program, what it offers, success journeys with clients, and perhaps some of the other questions that you already might have about EF coaching. So please select the link of the breakout room you would like to join. And then you don't have to return. There won't be a returning to the main session. That is the only session, and the webinar will then end at the end of that session, if that makes sense. So I hope you can still see the slide where the different programs are just listed.
Yeah. We do have one question, Yandre, from Leela, asking if there's some form of funding for children or teenagers. Not that I know of, but we do have a couple of children who are accessing coaching through EHCP. So if you can maybe chat to LA or the council, city council, and looking at having an HCP in place for your child. okay, then you can access coaching through HCP funding.
Thank you. And then just Jane, to answer your question, I hope you're still not unsure what to do, but the links, if you scroll up, the links to the different breakout rooms for the different coaching programs is in a message just above yours. You can just click on one and it'll take you to that room.
Yeah. So if
I'm
you're
just
interested in coaching, yeah.
I was going to say there's some more questions in the Q&A box. It's different to the chat along the bottom, and some of the ones that come through there.
Oh, thank you. How does your EF training work if you want to become a coach? And then Alay, if I'm pronouncing your name correctly, your second question, how long does the training become and do you offer special prices? Cool. So Alay, we do offer various levels of coach training. Level 1 is roughly 6 weeks and it includes a practical week as well. And we can definitely send you, Pranal, if you can perhaps just share that link to the coach training site as well, that offers more information. At this point, we only offer it in pounds, but we do offer an early bird special on all of our cohorts that you can definitely apply for, or we can chat about any other arrangements if there might be. And then lastly, how does the access to work process work regarding funding? Lerato, I don't know if you want to answer that one.
Okay. I would advise Anonymous to go through to the access to work breakout room. Rachel would be there. It is a bit of a lengthy process where you need to apply through the DWP website. You actually also do not need a formal diagnosis if you want to access or use access to work funding. You'd go through the process. You'd go through the application. Then at a later stage, your caseworker will ask you for a couple of quotes. At that point, you can reach out to us. We'll send you a quote as well for coaching. And I think they need 3 quotes. And then you'd send them through the quotes, and then they would then give you your award letter and just let you know how much funding you've been awarded. Okay, but Rachel will be able to give you a much more detailed overview on how that process works in the breakout room.